Well, the Trump administration's calls for us to lift our defence spending have fallen on deaf ears, and it seems the PM is trying to find other ways to butter up Donald Trump. Anthony Albanese has pledged a $12 billion down payment on AUKUS infrastructure in WA to support submarine maintenance and naval shipbuilding.
But the PM says there's nothing coincidental about the announcement.
Australia has always pulled our weight. We pay our way and we contribute to our alliance each and every day. If you look at what we've done since the Defence Strategic Review, is invest in capability to make a difference.
The timing of today's announcement really is about ensuring that we maintain real momentum around the building of the Henderson Defence Precinct.
Joining us now is former Speaker of the House, Bronwyn Bishop. Bronwyn, thank you so much for joining us on the show. So what do you make of today's timing?
Look, if only you could believe a word any of them say. Yeah. I watched Mr Miles' interview today. It was stammering all the way through. He was asked a question, he couldn't give a straight answer. Did you discuss with Mr Rubio the fact that you're going to recognise the Palestinian state? Oh, no, we didn't. Oh, well, I'm not going to talk about that. I mean, it was pathetic. I am pleased that an announcement about an expenditure is going to be made, but do we know the terms of it? Do we know when it's going to happen? Over what stages? Because they keep saying that they're spending more money on defence than anybody else. Yeah, but it's 10 years down the track. So everything they say, you know, he says, oh, I had a meeting with the Secretary of Defence, now the Secretary of War. But he didn't. He met him in a corridor. I mean, how do you believe anything these people say? The Treasurer says before the election, budget's in great shape. After the election, it's unsustainable. There is nothing you can believe that they have to say.
Well, Anthony Albanese will most likely meet President Trump in New York during his trip to the United Nations General Assembly on September 24. Here's Richard Marles on Sky News this morning talking about that.
I've got no doubt that in the not-too-distant future you'll see a meeting between the Prime Minister and the President. As you know, they spoke by phone recently, and that comes on the back of a number of other conversations they've had by phone since Donald Trump was inaugurated. And I'm sure that at some point in the not-too-distant future you're going to see a meeting between the two leaders.
Bronwyn, I suspect that if they do meet, Albanese would much prefer it to be in New York at the UN rather than in the Oval Office, where Trump has embarrassed a number of world leaders, and Anthony Albanese would be ripe for the picking in the Oval Office, would he not?
Absolutely. And of course it won't be in the Oval Office. He'll do everything to avoid that. And then he'll make a big play about it so that he sees perhaps he's not too close to Donald Trump because there's a negative response here. I just think the whole thing is a facade. I don't think AUKUS is at risk. I really don't, because it's important to America to have that base here. And the one thing that Morrison did that was right was the AUKUS deal. So the rest of it is all game playing. He actually said, Albanese, the other day, not that America is our most important ally, but it is an important ally. I mean, there's no substance to this government. It's misleading us all the time. And I just worry about the way the Australian people seem to be deceived continually. So I think we've got the opposition has just got to lift its game. It really has. And there has to be a passion there that says we are committed to see this country's economy improve, which means we must use fossil fuels. We are committed to see law and order restored in our streets, which means we have to say when there's wrongdoing, we'll prosecute it. There has to be strong commitments on these issues before the Australian people will think we're ready to come back to government.
No, look, absolutely. I want to ask you about Teal MP Zali Steggall. We spoke about her earlier, where she liked and unliked a tweet in relation to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, but she's also under fire for retweeting this post criticising Josh Frydenberg's opinion piece where he said the killing of Kirk was a wake-up call for Australia. This particular post says, Frydenberg is utterly shameless and irresponsible, trying to weaponise US political violence on behalf of Israel's supporters in Australia. There is no evidence whatsoever for any of his claims, to which Zali has then retweeted that. I mean, Bronwyn, we've got the Iranian ambassador was expelled a couple of weeks ago because of Iran's terrorist attacks against Australian Jews on our soil, and we've got Zali Steggall reposting this. What do you make of it?
Well, the thing about Zali Steggall is when she liked the quote that violence is sometimes necessary, she tried to put out a statement saying, oh, it was all the fault of Advance Australia. That didn't work. So now she's having a go at Josh. This is the second time. Well, I'll say to Zali, 3 strikes and you're out, and you've just had 2. I mean, the hypocrisy of the teal movement is just beyond the pale. Perhaps we're starting to see it fading. It was interesting in the Kiama by-election. They only got 12% of the vote. And I don't think there's anything for Labor to skite about either. They only got 37 and got there on the back of the Greens and the teal vote. So I think perhaps people must start to see through them and the lies that come out of this desire, they say, for integrity. There's no integrity in any of that.
We were going to let you go, but since you mentioned the Kiama by-election, Mark Speakman, the Liberal leader in New South Wales, does he have anything to worry about with regards to his leadership after that by-election loss?
Well, they made a statement before that if he got less than 40% for the Liberals, he'd be in trouble. Well, by the time they count the postal votes, I think you'll find it'll be about 60-40. But as I said, the Liberal vote was up. Labor vote wasn't much. I don't think there's anything to skite there. The one person who seems to be a sort of moderate alternative is Kelly Sloan, and she doesn't seem to want to do it. So you look around, who else is going to stand? Until they've got a backbone and start to be realistic about what the issues they're going to fight an election on, what's the point?
Oh, it's grim. It sounds very grim at the moment, Bronwyn Bishop, we love having you on. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this evening. Really appreciate it.
I tell you what, when Bronwyn Bishop shrugs her shoulders and says, what's the point? You know things are
something's
bad.
not good. Exactly.